Third grade readers, I have something kind of interesting to share with you. I want to let you in on a little secret about your teachers from the beginning of the school year. Did you know that before we even met you, we had some wonderings about you all? Would we have some third grade friends who were really good at some things, but maybe too shy or nervous to tell us or show us what they were really good at? Would we have some friends who were super confident and loved to share in our class discussions exactly what they were thinking? Would we have some students who liked to be with the entire group or maybe would rather learn in a smaller group? Would we have students that laughed at our jokes or just kind of roll their eyes at us? Now, you're probably wondering, what in the world does this have to do with reading? I'll tell you. Good readers have these same wonderings about the characters in their book. Did you know that every time you open up a book, you could look at the characters and have those same questions about them? Now, the good news is that authors will give us clues as to what kind of people our characters are. I like to call those little breadcrumbs that they leave for us. And the way they do that is they select specific things that they want our characters to do and specific words they want our characters to say. And sometimes they'll even let us in on what our character is thinking. And when we pay close attention to all of those clues and breadcrumbs that our author is giving us, we can really find out a whole bunch of things about our characters and determine kind of what person they are, just like your teachers have gotten to know you as students. So let's try that with Opal. You've met Opal. You've learned just a little bit about her in just these first two chapters, but I'm going to show you how a good reader would pay really close attention to different clues that the author is giving us to kind of figure out what kind of character our Opal is. So we're going to look at just two very short passages, one from chapter 1 and another from chapter 2, and kind of think about what this tells us. To kind of jog your memory, this is where the store manager has kind of looked out and seen all of the chaos that the dog has shown. And here is when we see Opal do some talking. "Please," said the manager, "somebody call the pound." "Wait a minute," I hollered. "That's my dog. Don't call the pound." All the Winn-Dixie employees turned around and looked at me, and I knew I had done something big, and maybe stupid too. But I couldn't help it. I couldn't let that dog go to the pound. "Here, boy," I said. Let's think for a moment about what we can learn about Opal in just these couple of sentences from chapter 1. So let's take a look at some things she does and says. One thing she does is she claims that Winn-Dixie is her dog, even though it's not, to save him from going to the pound. And something she says is, "Wait a minute, I hollered. That's my dog. Don't call the pound." So what I'm kind of gathering is that maybe she has a soft spot when it comes to animals. And also, I'm thinking she's pretty brave to not just maybe say, "Excuse me," but to actually holler at a store manager who, quite frankly, up until this point, seems kind of scary. And let's not forget, he's an adult and Opal is a child. Tuck those things in your brain and see if we can learn more about her in chapter 2. So for our next short passage, she is on her way home with Winn-Dixie, and she knows that she will soon be introducing Winn-Dixie to Preacher. Anyway, while me and Winn-Dixie walked home, I told him how I got my name, and I told him how I just moved to Naomi. I also told him about the preacher and how he was a good man even if he was too distracted with sermons and prayers and suffering people to go grocery shopping. But you know what? I told Winn-Dixie. You are a suffering dog, so maybe he will take to you right away. Maybe he'll let me keep you. Winn-Dixie looked up at me and wagged his tail. He was kind of limping, like something was wrong with one of his legs. And I have to admit, he stunk bad. He was an ugly dog, but already I loved him with all my heart. Well, let's pause here, readers. Let's think about what Opal's doing, what she's saying. I noticed that she says these words, maybe he'll let me keep you. So she knows that there's a small possibility that Preacher will not allow Winn-Dixie to stay with Opal, but she's still willing to try it. Shows me that she's kind of trying to be risky for things that she loves. I'm also noticing that she says, I loved him with all my heart, even though, in fact, right after she admits that he's very stinky and kind of an ugly dog. So it makes me wonder if maybe outside appearances are not what's important to Opal. And it makes me wonder if she is willing to be brave and ask for things that are important to her, which I feel like is going to carry on into the rest of our story. So we're going to kind of tuck away these things that we've learned about Opal and see if these characteristics that we've seen in chapters 1 and 2 show up again throughout our text. Stay tuned.